Dag se julle, welkom hier so by Boertjie en Oz. I just want to show you the Miller Nitro. That's a sprayer we use for doing our herbicide and fungicide here in Australia on a farm, and we're just busy getting ready to fix and repair a few seals and leaks underneath the sprayer, and get it ready for doing pre-emergent spraying before we start sowing. And just for interest sake, the current farm that we're on is a lease farm of about 1,000 hectares or so. And what's interesting here in Australia is that you put in a tender. I'm sitting out here in a paddock. We worked cheap today, so just sitting and enjoying the view, and behind me this beautiful ironbark tree. Anyway, my process started about 3-4 years back, and we went through a lot of bad experiences on the farm and in business, and and it was just basically a build-up of certain things that happened in our lives, and that just built it up to where we were at that stage to make a decision, so so basically my whole process was a process of 3 to 4 years to decide to come to Australia, and doors just closed for us in South Africa. We knocked we knocked on a few doors, and they all just closed, and with with a bit of faith and prayer, because that you're gonna need a lot of that, is to be constant in a place of prayer and to have a lot of faith. But I send it out resumes all over the world, and just see what reaction I would get on my work experience, and if it will be possible for us to make a move, and where to. And I had a lot of reaction on all my resumes that I sent it out, and and the decision was just, I declined a lot of decisions, or a lot of offers, especially in America and so on. But and once the offer was on the table in Australia, we were contemplating it and for a while, and one of our decisions was to, if should we it happen that we would be able to come to Australia, we're not gonna come over to start a new business or so, because it's a new country, and we don't know what's lying ahead, and because of age restrictions that you all know, it's hard to get into Australia, and the visas the visas is complicated, and I'm not a agent. I'm not registered as an agent or whatever, but I can just say this. I'll share you my experience and the process that I went through, and I guess it's different for individual to individual, and that they're not all the same. But my process was on a 482 visa, and what I can tell you is that I did my homework on visas. I sat and I did internet searches on visas, and I really knew what the process is like, and what the process would be, and all that. And I looked at few other visas, and for us there wasn't another opportunity to come to Australia other than a 482 visa, and it's risky. It's very risky, and it's complicated because you gotta have someone that sponsor you, and they don't always know what they, what it's involved if they sort of is a sponsor to you, to yourself, and it's, I even did my homework on that process, because if we didn't go through an agent, I did everything myself, but if we would have decided to go through an agent, that I would be able to know where I was in the process, should I be in the position that I was or would have been when I was communicating with the employer or the sponsor, the agent. And again, homework. It's a lot of money you gotta pay. It's a big process, and I really did my homework. And the other thing is once you're in that position of receiving an offer, I find with my process was to keep in communication with your employer. What you must understand is once you go through this process, you can have an interview on WhatsApp, you can have an interview on TeamViewer or wherever, on Skype or whatever, and you can have as much telephone conversations, but still you don't know, who you're coming to, and they don't know what they're gonna get, and it's a gamble all the way. It's a gamble for you, it's a gamble for them, and that's what makes it so hard. And the only, for me, my only comfort was in communication, and as much as communication as possible, so that you can, over the phone and over Skype and WhatsApp or so, on a video, you can get a feeling of, if this is the right position for you to be in, or for your future, or whatever. And the other thing is I asked as much info as he was able to give me of his operation, his farm, and what he's busy with, so that when I arrive in Australia, that I don't come here completely, that I don't know what I'm coming to. I sort of try to prepare myself as much as possible, just to make that change over, to start a new career with in a new country, just to make it easier. And the biggest reason for us making this decision is, again, I don't want, if I didn't have children, I would have stayed in South Africa, and I would stick it through in South Africa, and I really take my hat off for people staying there and fight the good fight, and it's everyone's fight. If you're South African, it doesn't matter where you is, it's still your fight, because that's your heritage. But I just couldn't face coming to a house and see. I couldn't prepare myself to see my children or my wife, on a kitchen floor or in a house down a passage. I just wasn't prepared for that, and I knowing what's happening, I couldn't do it. Anyway, so for us, to come to Australia is to come and sort of go through the process and of adapting to the culture, adapting to the farm life, the way they farm, the way they make their decisions, the way they. It's not the same as back home. It's different, and we decided we will go this way, and we'll stick it through. and we'll start from the start again. And you know, once the kids is ready to go into this new world of theirs after their school, they can decide if they want to work on a farm, or you know, or stay on a farm, or and if farm life is not for them, then at least, you know, we gave them the opportunity to go into a direction that they really love to see themselves in, you know, and we gave them that platform. And then at least, you know, after that, you know that was the right decision to make. The process of the visas and from the start off is a lot, so I'm just gonna say that this video is basically part one, and part one is just to round it off. Part one is to you know, stick it through in that times, because it's hard, and faith and prayer. Like I said, all doors closed for us in South Africa. Everything we tried, and it just didn't work out, and the door opened for us in Australia, and it's because, you know, it's because it's planned from above, and it's not, you can sort of decide, and decisions you got to make and so forth, but the stuff doesn't work out, then it's not meant to be. And it was really meant to be for us to come to Australia, because like I said, my process was about 3 years, but my visa, the process for my visa, the whole, from the start, from the day I got my interview with my employer to the day I set my foot on Australia ground, was 5 months. 5 months. So but the building up period towards that, and the decision making and all the stuff you gotta get ready in South Africa, so that there's no comebacks when you're in Australia, you know, bank accounts, if you sell your property and stuff like that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you gotta sort of close the book on. And once you don't want to get comebacks on that, because it's hard communicating with banks. Vodacom, for example, Vodacom, it's a pain. And then just to end this video, and that's the reason why we decided that we'd rather stick with an employer that sponsored us, because it's a lot cheaper that way, and it fit our pocket at that stage, and it gave us an opportunity to make the move, and then just start small up again, build it up, you know. And you know, sometimes you build a legacy and your kids doesn't want to follow that legacy, and you know, so why for what did you build it then? And so we'll see what, for us, the process. I've got kids, and they are interested in farming, but you know, it's still early for us, and to be able to start small over years, and who knows what comes on, you know, on your path, what cross your path, and then we'll take it from there, and you know, decide if once we in a position to make that decision, and maybe at this stage we first will start investing in you know, property in town or whatever, but currently we're buying our time to adapt. That is our focus now, just to adapt, buying our time, and you know, feel the markets and feel everything that's surrounding farm life, and so on, and then forward in future we'll see what happens, you know. And the other thing is I made a promise as well to stick it through, you know, because at my age I don't want to, you know, you can't afford to jump around and start all things new again. So you got to sort of basically know in which direction you're going to go, and make sure that that is the direction you want to go into, especially if starting anew in a new country. But that is basically where we at. I'll follow this up with a second phase of the process, and discussing on the homework that I have done on research on the visas and so forth. And I just want to thank you guys again for all the comments, the likes, the shares, the ones that joined this channel. And again, if there's a lot of people commenting and asking, they want to hear about this and that, and I'll try to, I made a list of it, and I'll try to work it in future videos. So if there is any other questions and stuff regarding the process, or regarding the what you're going to go through, please comment on that, and help share the video if you really enjoy it. And then I'll just end it off with a scenery, the landscape where I'm currently at. And I have to say, it's we're lucky that we're in an area that the landscape is really beautiful. Thanks guys, until the next one.